beautiful people of the world, welcome back to Familia Pablanu. I'm the one and only Anu.
And I'm Pablo, just Pablo. In this video we're going to talk a bit about our family and our multilingual aspects of our family.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
Mama Africa, your children are home!
So we've taught our children from the very first day, from the day they were born, we've taught them our languages, which...
It's YORÀBÁ for me.
And
it's
for
a Nigerian
me,
language.
For me, Spanish, which interestingly enough is not my first language, and I'm the only one in my family that speaks Spanish. But it was, I guess the reasoning
is that this is the legacy that we give them. Don't have inheritance that we're going to give them, but we learned this, it was passed down to us, and you know, suffered or how do you call it?
Right, like for you, it was, your culture and...
Yeah, culture and something that was passed down from my parents to me. This is what we speak in the house, and it's a legacy, and to be able to pass it down, because I've seen so many, the way the Yoruba is getting lost, because so far they're the only grandchildren that speak Yoruba out of all of my relatives' grandchildren. They're the only one that can communicate with my grandmother, great-grandmother,
their great-grandmother,
which we saw when we went to Nigeria recently.
Mama Dakeje.
Yeah, so it's a privilege. It's a great what do you call it? It's a great gift for them to be able to do that, and they talk with their grandmother and all that good stuff. And I'm grateful to be able to pass that down to them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and for me it's a little bit different because my first language is English. Spanish was a foreign language to me, which then became now my second language, as well as other languages. But this one, was the one that I did the most work on, the one that I, taught and everything. So, and I worked hard, to learn the language. And I actually did a presentation even to other teachers of languages and told them, like, this is something that you should be sharing with your children. Language is a gift, as a gift for your children. Because whether it's your first language, right, like in your case, sharing the culture, all of the songs, the poetry, giving them access to a whole nother part of the world is a wonderful thing. And even if you've learned it as a second language, so for me it was sharing, what I've learned as well as a legacy, because English, they're gonna pick up, and we knew they were gonna pick it up.
Yeah, especially we lived in Midwest America, so we lived in Indiana. English is everywhere, so they were going to
100%
pick up.
English around there anyway.
Right, so it was inevitable.
And English is so predominant, in the world, that even in Nigeria, like you were saying, like with the great-grandchildren, even those living in Nigeria don't really know Yoruba.
Speak it anymore.
Yeah.
The language is being lost.
English is so powerful,
yeah,
so strong, and so we knew that was going to happen. We knew they were going to learn English, and sure enough, we didn't know we were going to come to Uganda, but here we are.
Yep.
And what are they learning here? English. Everyone speaks to them in English, and so they actually said today, you were speaking to...
I think we will do another video. We'll speak to them we will switch languages and speak to them, or speaking to them in English. And I spoke with them in English, and they were all shocked. They're like, no, stop speaking Uganda.
Stop speaking Ugandan. That's what Tulio said. He was like, Mama, emashe Uganda. He said emashe Uganda. Like, don't do Uganda. Because it's true, like in the US, they weren't really exposed to a lot of English, just because we were at home, most of the time. There was lockdowns, there was all that kind of stuff. So we really did the languages in the house, and they didn't have opportunities to go out too much. But here they do, and everything's English. Yeah, it's school, and they say, don't speak vernacular, speak English.
Yeah.
So for them, English is Uganda. Like, you come to Uganda, people speak English to you, which they weren't used to, because even some friends, they would come over, they'd be speaking Yoruba, they'd be speaking Spanish, so yeah. But then
going back to confessions.
Right.
Now, starting to speak to them at young age, when they were baby, it wasn't easy to just... I don't have any little sibling or little cousin or little anything that I would speak Yoruba to. So now I have to go back to my 1-year-old or little self and try to, how would I speak this language? How would I talk? It wasn't easy because so far I would speak to Yoruba, but they're all older or my age, or maybe a little bit younger than me. But we're still peers.
So you're trying to remember like baby Yoruba.
Baby words. What did I use when I was growing up? So it was a little difficult, and and the consistency at first. You have to be consistent at first, but then it flows. As soon as your baby is growing, you grow with the baby basically, and you even become better in that language. But at first, to get started, I wasn't as good because I've left my family. I mean, I speak to them on the phone, but I didn't have people that I speak Yoruba to that often, so it was definitely difficult to start all afresh. Yoruba 100% with a child. Oof, it wasn't easy, but we did it.
I know. It was so funny in the hospital. Like we had talked about, okay, we're gonna stick with these languages. We're gonna speak these languages to the children. Anna.
Oh gosh, they're coming one by one.
They're waking up.
We should have gone outside somewhere, gone somewhere.
But yeah, it was interesting in the hospital. Here we had talked about this. We're gonna speak these languages, and then the first thing you do when you see Elena, you're like, oh, sweetie.
Because
I'm like,
that's the
what are you
videos I've
doing?
seen of people talking to their children, and there's a cute baby. You speak to them in English. It's America. You speak English. So my brain had to like, okay, oh my gosh, do the talk back or go back to speaking. Oh, Tulio de Leo. To speaking. No, Joko back. Okay, Joko. Oh God. You can't sit on me. Hey, to speaking Yoruba alone. Now, the first one was the most difficult, but but as soon as the children start coming, the second one, Bella, was born, it was getting easier that time. So they're only a year and a half apart. So, and the fluency, and it just became like a daily. It just became normal thing to do.
So the way we did it is something called one
One face, one language, one language, one face.
One face, one language, I think.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen some other YouTubers as well doing that. But yeah, one face, one language. And it's the idea that the children, they relate languages to faces, to people, which is very, very true. And it's something that I had heard, even in grad school. When I speak to this person and this child in this language, like they're used to that. Then when I switch, they're like shocked.
Yeah.
And I was like, So I kind of put all this stuff together. So when we were talking to our kids, we just did one face, one language. Now, originally, I had really, wanted to learn Yoruba, and you wanted to work on your Spanish and stuff. So that was kind of a sacrifice that we had to make, because it meant that I could only speak Spanish with the children, and even around them, I would speak Spanish, and so I couldn't practice Yoruba, develop my Yoruba, only my listening I could develop. And the same with you, like your listening in Spanish developed a lot, but like speaking, you had to stick in Yoruba because it's one face, one language. Now that they're getting older.
Yeah, and the human brain is it's amazing, because even though you're just listening, you're comprehending and you are absorbing a lot, just being surrounded by it. And before you know, you wake up one day and it's all in your head. You know those words that were said every day, and you just sort of start talking, basically.
But it's difficult because if you're never required, like these children in the U.S., they can understand the language of their immigrant parents, but they don't, speak it because they were never required to. So for our children, they're not that way. They're 100% Spanish and Yoruba speakers at home. And but now that they're old, but we kind of became that way, where we're like, we can't speak well. You asked us to speak, and we're like me with Yoruba, you with Spanish.
Language,
But we can understand a lot more than we can speak.
Yep.
But now that the children are getting older, I played some, using Yoruba, and at first they were really shocked at me using Yoruba, but then they kind of gotten used to it. And especially our trip to Nigeria.
Yes. Now this is how Nigeria has helped our children tremendously, because when we were in the Midwest America, there was a shift there when they were in their 2-3 years old. And when I would give birth to the next one, it was just me speaking Yoruba to them. There was no other influence, nowhere.
Very little bit. There's a little bit on YouTube, stuff like that.
But there was so many Spanish influence there.
Spanish is the second language in the United States.
So
Bella,
was,
por favor, con
oh boy.
un momento. ¿Qué has tocado? Bella, no toques nada aquí, ¿vale? Por favor. Cada vez que tocas algo, causas problemas. ¿Vale? Por favor, no toques nada. Puedes mirar, pero no tocar.
Bella, yo ma bombi by a
Okay.
So I forgot where I stopped.
Oh, Nigeria.
So this is where the trip to Nigeria has helped them tremendously. So I was saying, yeah, the Midwest, there was no Yoruba anywhere.
There were some various friends and whatnot who were Yoruba speakers.
Yeah, but they're older people, and I mean,
and their children weren't old enough. They didn't speak Yoruba
and they didn't
yet.
Speak Yoruba. Yeah. So it was just me speaking to them in Yoruba. The influence they have was just me. So they were at some point there was a shift where even though it was 50-50 at some point at the beginning, Yoruba and Spanish, and then it was getting to like Spanish is more what they are wanting to speak and they don't want to speak Yoruba anymore, because I'm the only one that they think speak it in the world. They didn't know. I mean, I played videos, I did all those things. It still didn't help. They just wouldn't do it.
And because you were talking about, you think it was two factors, right? One was there was a time there where you had just given birth to, I think, Tulio.
I gave birth to Tulio, and it was during the lockdown and all that stuff.
And I was trying to let you rest, and I was like, okay, kids, don't bother mama. Like talking to the girls, don't bother mama, stay here, which backfired because it then made them, have a lot more Spanish inputs, right?
Yes, and less and less of the Yoruba.
And another factor that you get on me all the time about was that there was a time when I was at work a lot, so I was like, I need to try to do better for my part, so that way they're more 50-50. And so that also kind of influenced things, because then when I would come home, I would try to do a lot more Spanish with them, on the weekends, try to do a lot of Spanish, and I even asked you, I was like, hey, can you put on some Spanish like TV and stuff like that?
Yeah, and then it wasn't the case. Even though I was home with them all of the time, it didn't mean that they are getting all of this input, because they need a lot more.
You can't always be speaking to them all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. I was
and
tired.
Child language and games and all these things.
Exactly. So they didn't get that much Yoruba. They got a lot of Spanish, because you're very refreshed when you come back from work and you're speaking to them, teaching them, and they learned a lot. And Yoruba suffered. So when we went to Nigeria recently, and also I think they actually think I'm the only one who speaks Yoruba, and adults. They think Yoruba is also for adults, even though they've seen cartoons, they've seen some kids on the TV speaking it, but they still don't associate that with children their age. So they just stuck with speaking Spanish between themselves. They play in Spanish.
Right, they had seen some children speaking Spanish. They had spoken with some other kids like in the community that spoke Spanish, even though there were very, very few.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had never really seen...
They didn't see Yoruba at all. We came to Uganda. And again, here they spoke English.
Right.
There was
At first the kids thought that they were going to speak Yoruba, and they're like,
oh! So they were excited. They said, oh, wait, we can speak Yoruba.
But it was all English.
It was English. So they were also still disappointed. So they started speaking both Spanish and English. So that was what was happening.
Yeah, English was starting to take a strong hold.
Yeah, because everyone speaks English around here.
I mean, it was just like 2-3 months, and boom, they were like speaking English between themselves, and we're like, no!
Yeah, that was their play language.
Because like the plan had been giving them this home culture, right? Having this like really tight knit, brothers and sisters together, where they're posse, where they're together like that. And where they would have those languages, and they know that, hey, these are our languages. They identify with these languages.
Right.
And if they go out, they'll speak English, they'll speak Luganda, they'll speak whatever. But between themselves, they switch. To have that.
So, but that wasn't happening when we got here. So we went to Nigeria, and we told everyone as soon as we arrived there. We got to Lagos, we went to the village from there on, fast. And we told people, you speak Yoruba to them, please do not speak English to them. They speak Yoruba to understand. And people got the memo, and everyone started speaking to them Yoruba. and they were shocked. They were like, wait, everyone, I understand what they're saying, and I can speak to them. So that blew their mind, first of all, like, wait, it's not just mommy that speaks.
I would have to tell them, because they would start speaking English to these little kids, and I'm like, they don't speak English, yo. Like,
you speak Yoruba to them. The little kids, maybe I'll show a clip here and there.
Julio Bobo. I need race in Ilewa.
Yakin wojú ẹ. Rafa wojú mi bíbá ẹ sọ fẹ́nẹ́. Wọ́n yẹ tó fẹ́ fò.
They were all playing, and we have this neighbor kids. They will come and play, and they will speak them in Yoruba. I think that did a lot on how they are now, because now they came back and I saw that they are speaking Yoruba among them. So I'm like, oh, these folks. I was impressed. I'm like,
they're doing well.
Nigeria has helped them a lot, and it's so right now it's basically almost 50-50 with Spanish, and so they can switch, boom, just like Spanish and Yoruba, where it hasn't been before. It will just be mostly Spanish, and if you try to prompt them in English, you prompt them in Yoruba, they don't want to speak. At some point, they told me they don't want to speak Yoruba again. I'm like, oh, so sad. And then that's when I wanted to give up, because I'm like, okay, if I'm trying so hard and then they say they don't want to do this anymore, I might as well give up. But I remember what this lady said, the mother of the McClure, the mighty McClure family, the mother that said, yeah, they stopped. You said you don't want to speak, learn Yoruba, so I stopped at age 4. And she's like, Mama, I'm a child. I was a child.
I didn't know what was good for me. Yeah,
right, like, that stuck with me, and I'm like, okay, I have to keep going. But I was really disappointed. Like, so it hasn't been easy, but I'm very happy now, because knowing that going forward, they already know that there are people in the world, a lot of people that speak Yoruba, and it's encouraging for them, and they love it now. They want to speak it with each other every time. So I'm excited about that.
I would love to be able to, like, you know, every so often take the kids, relocate for like 3 months, get like 3-month visas in like Nigeria or in like a Spanish-speaking country, ideally in Africa. You know, we just settle for like 3 months so the kids get that cultural experience. You know, whether in Yoruba, in Spanish, just to be able to do that would be ideal. That would be awesome. They go to school for like 2 months, 3 months. It would be so neat, you know. And we can do it because, you know, because of the food that we eat. We eat, you know, anything that grows around here. So it's very easy for us to kind of relocate, settle down, and the kids too. Like, it's very easy for them to just jump in, start chatting with people. And if they're like, they speak Spanish here in Africa, you know, like in Equatorial Guinea or something, you know, like that would be awesome. That would be really awesome, because before, like maybe a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, they were young enough to where if they were speaking English, it's like, oh crud, that's gonna really cause problems, you know. So we had to be like, kind of like how in the schools in Africa, if you're from Africa, then you know, like they would always say, what is it?
Stop speaking vernacular.
Vernacular, which is like any local language, like any local language, basically your home language, whatever that is. Don't speak it. You should speak English in school or whatever, which is terrible in itself. You know, people should be able to, you know, promote all languages, because children, they can learn them all at the same time. You don't have to be like so harsh on them. But for us, we kind of do the opposite, where it's like in the house, it's like,
stop
no,
speaking vernacular, and that's English.
Yeah, we started joking. We're like, don't speak vernacular, and they're like, wait, you mean Uganda? I'm like, no, I mean English. So speaking English. Yeah, because like we tell them, like, listen, you're not neighbors. You are siblings, you know, you're brothers and sisters, so speak your languages. And don't speak, especially to the younger ones, like the babies, because they'll pick up so quickly, like English, and that's the issue. You'll see even in the US, like these immigrant families, if there's like, you know, maybe the eldest gets really good at the language of their parents, the next one not so much, the next one not so much, and then the youngest is like, none.
English,
they have
100%.
only English, And it's because, they come back, they bring English back into the home, and then the youngest ones hear that, see their brothers and sisters and friends playing in English, and they're like...
The reason why we keep going, what we've seen in the kids and how it's helped them so much, one of the benefits is that now they're translating for us, like I would just ask
Awesome.
them, Elena, ¿cómo se dice Joko en español? And she would tell me, siéntate, or yeah, siéntate. And they would tell you, so they would translate for us, because there would be time where I'm like, you might say the word, that word, I remember, but I forgot. I'll ask Elena, okay, how do you say this? Or when we go out,
Or vice versa. You're speaking in Yoruba with them, and I'm like, hey, chicos, ¿qué significa da da da? You know, and they'll
Yeah.
tell me.
or if we go out, like, I know I can talk to them, or, I mean, you know kids, they say things when you go out. So when they say things, I'm glad, because sometimes they just say whatever that comes to their mouth. They see someone that's big, they're like, mama, so I'm glad.
I'm like, hey.
Now they did that in Nigeria. I'm like, sure, everybody understands you here. Don't do that.
Yeah, they had to learn real quick. Real quick. You can't be talking about people in that area.
But well, yeah, we have that kind of relationship with them. They can speak if something is wrong. Like something happens, they speak it in Yoruba or in Spanish, and you understand a little bit more. I don't know. There's more connection.
Yeah, it's our family's kind of dynamic, you know. And after Nigeria, because in Nigeria I tried to use a lot more Yoruba, you know, because I wanted to improve my Yoruba while I was there. You know, I didn't want to waste that time, and so I used a lot of it, and so they got used to hearing me, you know, speak it, because you know I would speak it with the older people and stuff like that. So they got used to that, and so now I kind of incorporate a bit more Yoruba into the daily life.
And I'm very surprised now that they will just come to you and start speaking Yoruba to you.
They will now, especially Bella, which is funny because Bella was the worst back in the day. She used to only use Spanish, and she was the one that was breaking your heart, saying, you know, like, no quiero hablar Yoruba, like stuff like that. It's terrible. But now even she will come to me and just speak Yoruba to me, and I'm like,
wow.
I'll get most of it, you know, but sometimes I'm like, ¿qué significa eso? So, but yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, and it's nice because now I feel a lot more comfortable, like with them switching, and even if they use English, I'm like, okay, you know, like we're still family, don't use English in between us, but I'm not like as worried as I used to be, because they're very obviously like trilingual, and they're learning Luganda, of course, which is the local language here. Which is awesome. That's what I've been wanting the whole time, and for people speaking Luganda, but they don't. People around here, they look at them and they think, oh, they must only speak English, which is funny because they learned English here in Uganda, which is hilarious, just a few months ago. But yeah, I know we did a video on the benefits of raising multilingual children.
You can check it out. I'm not sure if it's left.
Left or right? I think it's left. I think it's left up here.
Yeah, you can check it out. The benefit of raising multilingual kids. Yeah.
And one of those is the fact that you can learn from the children even. So like I'm not a native speaker of Spanish, but for the moment my Spanish is better than theirs. But I know at some point their Spanish is going to be, because they're going to be natives, they're going to actually be able to, you know, speak even better than me. They're going to know more than me even at some point. Maybe. I hope they do. But in the case of Yoruba is a tonal language, and so I think I know the tones and I can like write them and stuff. But when it comes out, sometimes it comes out in a weird way. And so Elena, for example, and even Bella, they'll like correct me all the time. You know, I'll say something and she'll be like, "Papa, it's this way." You know, she'll correct how I say. She's been doing that for years, by the way, since she was like 3 or 4. She's been correcting my tones, which is great. You know, it helps. So we benefit a lot from that.
So that's all we have in this video for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll bring you more videos. You can watch our previous videos, like, share, subscribe, and please don't skip ads. We appreciate it.
And sign up for, notifications, because I know a lot of people were saying they didn't even know about notifications.
Oh, right.
And they were missing so many of our videos and whatnot. So please do sign up for notifications as well. So
yeah, you just click the bell button. After you subscribe, it's on the right side of the bell button, so you can see our new videos. It will prompt you, say, oh, they have a new video now. So yeah, please do.
Right. And if you have any questions or something, or if you're wondering, you know, anything about raising multilingual children, right? Because it's not bilingual anymore. Multilingual children. Yeah, feel free to comment below and ask questions, and we can always try to fulfill those. And if there's enough questions, we might even do like a live interview where we can.
Never done that before.
Never done that, but yeah, if there's enough questions that we can do a live Q&A where you can all ask questions at the same time. But yeah, any questions you have, anything like that, just let us know. We'd love to let you know our experience and share that.
Yeah, and we'll do more vlogs about our day-to-day, so you can just see the dynamics. It's amazing. I'm going to upload another video.
We're so used to it, we don't even think about it. But yeah, once we see it on screen, we're like, oh, wow, we are. Yeah, a lot of languages going on there.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Until next time, say, YORÀBÁ.
Hola,